The South Anna butternut squash that we got a couple of years ago from Haas, awesome. That's considered to be a stable hybrid. So if we had to, we could save the seeds and grow from those seeds. Okay. But the vast majority of what I would call production vegetables, the things that I'm counting on, now I think technically Provider might be a stable hybrid. Mm-hmm. So what we did was we looked for, first thing for us is flavor. Second is productivity. If I've got two plants that are identical in terms of flavor and one produces gangbusters and the other's just sort of meh, I'm sorry, meh can go away somewhere else.
Yeah, so we're in a constant state of trying things mm-hmm. and discarding. We very seldom trial a variety for only 1 year.
No, usually we will give it another shot on the theory that it could have been us, it could have been just bad luck, kind of lightning strikes sometimes. And, it was in a tougher year than in some way. Did we screw up and not water enough at some particular time? Did it not get enough fertilizer at some particular time? Those are all things you have to be aware of. It's not easy, especially when you're new.
Yeah, so when you move to the desert Southwest, no matter where you're from, unless you have a lot of experience gardening in the desert in the Southwest, mm-hmm. I advocate for start small. Even just start with 2 pots, 10 pots, 20 pots. When pots, it's a 10-gallon bucket. Mm-hmm. I don't like going bigger than 10 gallons.
It's too hard to move in case you have a problem.
We can move a 10-gallon watered bucket, just the two of us, without straining anything, mm-hmm. damaging anything, hurting ourselves. We're not that young anymore, but we can still move them. Mm-hmm. But if you just take the approach of using something where you can control the environment, mm-hmm. that's the best way to start.
I highly recommend that people do not use the grow bags. They work great in wet areas.
Not so much here, because remember that drying desert Southwest wind
sucks the moisture right out.
Yeah, we have talked to the county extension agents, and they say we have Southwest wind damage.
Yes. So when they're talking about orchards and stuff, you'll actually see like a wind burn on the southwest side of trees. It's called Southwest damage. They expect this. It's part of life. Unless you can create like a giant bubble, you're not going to have, it looks like a sci-fi thing, you're not going to have the kind of control that you need to get rid of Southwest damage.
To summarize, check your soil. And by check the soil, I mean send it out for a test.
Not a real one.
But not just a quick test from a pH test kit. You need to know enough about what's in the soil and what's not available. Just because there's iron in your soil doesn't mean it's available to plants. So mm-hmm. evaluate your soil. Make a determination about how much you're willing to spend on water. Mm-hmm. The easy rule of thumb is for most plants, 1.5 gallons of water per week per square foot will keep most plants moderately happy. Mm-hmm. You may need 2.5 gallons per square foot for some plants.
Right.
So, water. So, make sure you have a water source. How much effort are you willing to spend being picky mm-hmm. about going out? Irene goes out to the greenhouse every day, multiple times per day. First mm-hmm. thing in the morning, at least one of us goes out and opens the greenhouse to a base level. Later on in the morning, it's checked to make sure that everything is watered enough mm-hmm. and that we don't have some infestation. So there's regular rounds that have to happen. In the desert Southwest, you don't need to do that every place.
Well, we watched a homesteader on the East Coast a couple of years ago, and he was like, oh, this is so much work. You mean I have to come out to my greenhouse and water these seedlings every day? Why, yes, you do.
Well, no, you don't.
You don't have to. But if you want them to live, you probably should. Even in a damp climate like Georgia, the people who live there will talk about watering multiple times a day. And I'm not talking about a couple of drops. I'm talking about soaking it a couple of times a day. If they don't do it, the heat that builds up, even in a fairly well-ventilated greenhouse, will roast their plants to death.
So once we know what the water demands are and what that environment is, how much effort you're willing to put in on a daily basis. And I'm here to tell you, you cannot, unless you have things really automated and that you're really lucky, you cannot leave a garden in the high desert southwest of Arizona unattended for a day. We have a high degree of automation in our gardens. We still have to go out and check. And when we go away for a day, and it's usually a day or two, there's always a chance that something could go wrong.
Yeah, yeah. You know, if something doesn't water correctly, if you have an electrical glitch in the system, which means that the pumps don't run at the right time or something like that, you can kill everything.
Yeah. So the final question is what varieties you're going to grow. We strongly encourage you to grow some F1s. You can determine from a lot of the different seed sources what the right ones possibly are for your area.
You have to read what it says there. You have to spend the time. If you're lucky and you find real gardeners, and I do mean real gardeners, not, I mean, a couple of years ago somebody brought a bunch of way past their best if used by date squash to the meeting. And it was like, okay, I would, if I had pigs or chickens, I'd feed these to those, but I wouldn't eat these. They were too, and the big complaint was, oh, they grow too fast, and they do. I'm like, okay, if they grow too fast, harvest them little. We harvest our zucchinis and stuff that big during the middle of the summer when we're getting too many, and that keeps the production going on the plants. It keeps you so that you're not overwhelmed. If you go to a high-end restaurant, they will feed you baby vegetables a lot of times. So you might get 4 or 5 little bitty squash and a couple of little bitty green beans and all that kind of stuff, and they'll charge good money for that. And if they do it right, it's really delicious. But you can do the same thing for yourself and keep the production going on your plants. Keep your plants happy so that they're not going to seed, because when a plant goes to seed, it says, oh, I'm done. I have accomplished my goal in life. A plant's goal in life is to reproduce. And if they know that they have set seed and that fruit has matured,
so long and thanks for all the fish.
Yeah, they're going to stop producing new fruit. That's why the people who sit there and find the 20-pound cucumbers in their garden and then wonder why they have no more cucumbers on that plant, because that plant got all the chemical signals that say, it's okay to die now.
I'm done.
You know? Now they may die for some other reason, but that's the big shut-off. That's like flipping a switch on a plant.
Yeah, let's see if we can do a quick summary. Get your soil evaluated by a professional evaluation service.
Right.
It's going to cost you $35 to $50. It's going to be the best $50 you're going to spend in your gardening adventure in the desert Southwest.
And recheck every couple of years.
Yeah. So that's number one. Number two, evaluate how much water you're going to need for the area that you're going to grow in.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on town water, great. But most everybody else who's going to be growing is going to be on water hole. Really evaluate that very carefully, because when the water truck doesn't show up, your plants will die. Number three, how big are you going to plant? Our encouragement is to start small, grow
Pots
small.
Or raised beds. Controlled environments.
Number three, what varieties are you going to grow? Limit the number you start with when you first start in the desert Southwest. We have friends who grow more than 100 different types of vegetables every year. They do it successfully. They're meticulous. They've been doing it for a long time. We grow perhaps 30, 40 different types over the course of the year.
I'd probably grow that many kinds of flowers. But keep a record. Write it down. Keep it where you can find it. Get yourself one of those composition notebooks like we used to learn to write in elementary school. Mark it with bright colors.
That was a long time ago.
That's right. But you can get them at the dollar store these days for cheap.
For $1.25.
You can get them bright colors so you can find them, so they won't blend into your universe and you'll lose them somewhere. And write down, what kind of varieties do you have? How did they do? Good, bad, or ugly? You know, and if you had a bug problem, write down when it hit, what you did to do, all that sort of stuff. Because the next year in the spring, when you're looking at your garden and you say, oh, I really enjoyed that variety I grew last year. Oh, we used the whole seed package, so I threw it away. Well, gee, I don't remember who I bought that from. I don't remember what the variety was from. You're going to slap yourself silly.
So there's a lot of little things. Now, we've tried to help gardeners over the past 4 years here on our channel. And one of the problems always is people will describe, I have this problem. And the words that describe a disease of a plant are really difficult, because if you had enough botany to be able to accurately describe the problem, you wouldn't need our help, because
You can look it up online. A lot of state universities have very good disease pages. This is the only way I can call them. Georgia, Louisiana, North Carolina, California, they're all, I haven't found any great ones in Arizona, but there's, you know, these are all places that will have really good pictures, they'll have really good descriptions, and the big thing is the up-close pictures. That's what gives you the descriptions that help you figure it out. But there are, you say, sit there and you say, my leaves are browning. Okay, that could be overwatering. That could be underwatering. That could be burning it with fertilizer. That could be some sort of a blight. That could be some sort of a fungus. I mean, it's not always easy to figure out what the heck is getting your critters.
But you know, if you have a problem in your garden, if there's some place where you can load a picture up and say, hey, I'm having this problem with my garden, I put a picture up on this site, could you look at it and give us an opinion? We're happy to do the best that we can, which may or may not be useful.
Right, you know, I tried that with Arizona on, there's several university sites where you're supposed to be able to do that for bugs. Never got a response at all.
So you know what time it is?
It is time to move on. We have more stuff to do today. Lots more. Yeah. So be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, because obviously we have a lot going on.
And we have a lot of driving to do again today.
Yeah.
I hadn't planned on doing yesterday, which was driving that I hadn't planned to do the day before, which was...
Yeah, so we're, you know, a month behind, but it'll be okay. So, until next time, bye.
Keep brainstorming.
Because obviously we are.
Yeah, and I got to figure out how to edit.
Yeah. Jack's taking a nap. He's solidly out now.
Not now, he's awake.